Good morning. Another very exciting announcement today. We are seeing the launch of a path-breaking initiative by the region's premier financial center, the DIFC.
Good morning. This is exciting. We had been waiting for this one-of-a-kind product for years now, and the DIFC finally delivered the new Prescribed Company Regulations.
Yes, and as always, we have a podcast dedicated to the new Prescribed Companies Regulations, a product that promises to change the way companies are structured in the region. By today, we are here to talk about Active Enterprises, a spin-off from the old Prescribed Companies Regs.
The Dubai International Financial Center, DIFC, is a premier financial hub in the Middle East, Africa, and South Asia, MESA, area and is one of the top 10 worldwide financial centers. With over 5,000 active registered firms and about 40,000 professionals operating within a thriving business ecosystem, the center offers a strong independent judicial system, a global financial exchange, creative architecture, and enabling support services. With nearly 20 years of experience, DIFC has helped to facilitate investment and trade flows throughout MESA, a region that has a combined population of almost 3 billion and a nominal GDP of roughly $8 trillion.
So, what are DIFC Active Enterprises all about?
The older DIFC Prescribed Regulations had provisions wherein prescribed companies could avail office space and hire employees. There were also some other offerings such as a technology holding company that fell in between PCs and Commercial Holding companies. The DIFC has now streamlined their offerings by issuing new Prescribed Companies Regulations that make PCs pure passive vehicles. The new DIFC Prescribed Company Regulations addresses a significant gap in the offerings from the center, where there was no product comparable to the special purpose vehicle regimes that existed in many comparable jurisdictions. The earlier PC regime required a qualifying applicant or a qualifying purpose, both of which tied in the product to existing DIFC clients. Under the new regime, prescribed companies can be established by qualifying applicants, GCC Persons, DIFC Persons etc., for a qualifying purpose, aviation, maritime, IP, crowdfunding, and structured finance, to hold GCC-registrable assets, or, in case none of these apply, through a DIFC Corporate Service Provider so as to provide the required substance. In essence, this brings a new level of flexibility to the offering. For instance, you can now form a PC if you are from India, to hold an asset in Africa, by appointing a CSP at the DIFC. Since the prescribed company cannot have employees, the DIFC has spun off the qualifying applicant bit into a different product called Active Enterprises. One can set up holding companies, proprietary investment companies and managing offices as an active enterprise, with visa options, provided that one has a tie-in to the center already.
Okay, I'm a bit confused here. Should I apply for an active enterprise or a prescribed company?
Well, the choice depends on the nature of the applicant and the intended activities. Active enterprises are meant to be active holding companies, proprietary investment vehicles and managing offices and can hire employees. PCs, on the other hand, can be set up by various qualifying applicants, but are specifically used as special purpose vehicles, aviation and maritime structures, IP holding, crowdfunding and structured financing structures. Do visit the detailed article on PCs on our website, and we have a simple chart to help you out. Of course, we recommend that you get in touch with us for your specific requirements so that we can advise you better.
Okay. So Edward, what are the activities allowed under a DIFC Active Enterprise?
The active enterprise can be used for three categories of activities: holding companies, managing offices, and proprietary investment companies.
How does the DIFC define holding companies?
Holding companies include firms engaged in holding the securities of, or other equity interests in, companies and enterprises for the purpose of owning a controlling interest or influencing the management decisions of these firms. The holding companies in this industry do not administer, oversee, and manage other establishments of the company or enterprise whose securities they hold.
And what are managing offices?
Managing offices are establishments, except government establishments, primarily engaged in administering, overseeing, and managing other establishments of the company or enterprise. These establishments normally undertake the strategic or organizational planning and decision-making role of the company or enterprise. This activity is extended to allow providing services strictly to its group such as, but not limited to treasury services, IT services, administration services, intragroup, corporate services, and advisory.
And proprietary investment companies.
Proprietary investment activities include firms engaged in holding their own investment portfolio and forming, managing, and investing their funds in any business or firms which carry out various commercial activities, such as transport, contracting and financing activities. Besides other investments or shareholdings in commercial enterprises. This also includes the management of such subsidiary companies and the organization of their affairs.
And why should you set up an active enterprise in the DIFC?
Good question. For one, they are cost-effective. Setting up an active enterprise is relatively inexpensive. DIFC charges $100 as an application fee, one time, and an annual commercial license fee of $1,000. Other charges may include corporate service provider fees for registered address and other related services. Secondly, you have flexible address options. An active enterprise can have its own DIFC office space, a co-working desk, share office space with its DIFC affiliate, or use an appointed DIFC corporate service provider such as 10 leaves to provide a registered address. A major differentiator from prescribed companies is its ability to hire employees. You can hire employees under an active enterprise. In this case, you would have to avail office space, and visa allocations are usually calculated as 80 square feet per visa. Of course, a major advantage is the common law jurisdiction. The DIFC is a financial free zone with its own civil and commercial laws, with access to DIFC courts where proceedings are carried out in the English language under the familiarity of common law. Registration is quick. In principle, approvals may be granted within 3 business days from the application submission. Setting up the legal structure of an active enterprise with the DIFC Registrar of Companies may take 3 to 5 working days. Also, the DIFC offers a globally competitive and attractive tax regime. An active enterprise may be subject to zero tax, based on certain qualifications. The maximum tax liability of an active enterprise will be 9%. Other advantages include no attestations requirements for corporate documents, zero currency restrictions, 100% foreign ownership, and zero restrictions on capital repatriation.
What are the possible use cases for a DIFC active enterprise?
DIFC active enterprises can be used in a variety of structures. Here are a couple of use cases. In the first, the active enterprise is used as a proprietary investment company to invest in manufacturing units around the world, and centrally manage the financing and operational activities of these units. The shareholders can use their existing DIFC entity, other than a prescribed company, foundation, or NPIO, to hold shares in the active enterprise, or also hold these shares directly, given that they are controllers of the existing DIFC entity. In the second use case, an active enterprise is used as a managing office to centrally manage the affairs of the group companies in different parts of the world.
Can I hold property in the name of a DIFC active enterprise?
Yes, you can. A DIFC active enterprise is allowed to hold property in the Emirate of Dubai, both Muslims and non-Muslims, in designated areas for foreign ownership. The DIFC has an existing MOU with the Dubai Land Department to this effect. An application can be made for the transfer fee to be reduced from 4% to 0.125% in instances where it can be demonstrated that the beneficial owner of a Dubai property being legally transferred to the active enterprise is the same. The active enterprise can be used to hold properties in the wider GCC region and worldwide as well.
Can a DIFC active enterprise be a shareholder in other companies?
Yes, active enterprises can be the direct shareholders of companies established in the UAE, GCC, and anywhere else in the world.
You can establish an active enterprise in the DIFC.
There are what the DIFC calls as qualified applicants. These include a DIFC registered entity other than a prescribed company, foundation, and a non-profit incorporated organization, and also controlling shareholders or UBOs of a DIFC registered entity, again, other than a prescribed company, foundation, and a non-profit incorporated organization. A government entity or a large family-operated business also qualify.
What does the DIFC consider as a qualifying family-operated business?
As per the DIFC, this means a business that meets the definition of a family under the Family Arrangement Regulations and has a large presence in the UAE, that meets at least 2 of the following criteria. 1. Total asset value of at least $10 million. 2. At least 100 employees. 3. At least 30,000 square feet of space in the UAE, including offices, retail, schools, manufacturing, etc., or 4. All the shareholders are UAE nationals or the common ancestor for the business is a UAE national.
Okay, that is a lot of information. Let's move on to knowing a bit more on the actual process. What is the process to set up an active enterprise in the DIFC?
Setting up an active enterprise in the DIFC involves the following steps. 1. Collation of documents. This includes detailed KYC on the shareholders and directors of the AC. 2. Finalization of registered address. This can be a physical address at the DIFC or can be provided by 10 leaves as the CSP and registered agent. Do note that the active enterprise will not be able to apply for visas if it uses a registered address provided by a CSP. 3. Initial submission to the DIFC Registrar of Companies. 4. DIFC review/clarifications and responses. 5. Preparation of the legal documents, resolutions and articles. The process would ideally take 7 to 10 working days.
What is the legal system that is followed in the DIFC?
The DIFC courts are an independent English-language common law judiciary, based in the DIFC with jurisdiction governing civil and commercial disputes nationally, regionally, and worldwide. The courts began operations in 2006. Originally, the jurisdiction of the DIFC courts was limited to the geographical area of the DIFC. The signing of Dubai Law No. 16 in 2011 allowed the DIFC courts to hear any local or international cases and to resolve commercial disputes with the consent of all parties.
Does a DIFC active enterprise require a registered agent?
An active enterprise in the DIFC is required to have a registered office in the center, where all relevant communications and notices can be delivered. This can be accomplished by A. Leasing office space in the DIFC. B. Sharing office space with an affiliate established in the DIFC, or
Okay. What is a registered agent for a DIFC active enterprise?
a registered agent is a qualified person, such as 10 leaves, licensed by the DIFC and registered with the DFSA as a company service provider. The registered agent provides the following services. A. Assistance in setup of the AE. B. Preparation and filing of the articles of the AE. C. Providing the registered address for the AE. D. Administration of the AE and secretarial services. E. Accounting and bookkeeping services. F. Compliance and AML services.
Are there any naming requirements?
The name of a DIFC active enterprise must end with the word limited or Ltd. It should also comply with the naming rules that are in force at the DIFC. Does the active enterprise have to maintain annual accounts? Yes. Accounts would have to be prepared and maintained as per DIFC companies law. Something that I am not very clear about. Does the DIFC have a time limit for active enterprises, like they do for prescribed companies? No. Active enterprises can continue until perpetuity. In the case of prescribed companies, where the PC has been established to hold or control GCC-registrable assets, or for a qualifying purpose, it has 6 months, from the license issuance date, to confirm to the registrar that it holds or controls one or more GCC-registrable assets or has begun to carry out its qualifying purpose.
Understood. Can the ownership of existing operational business be transferred into the DIFC active enterprise without any disruptions?
Yes, the transfer of the shareholding of existing companies within the UAE and the GCC is a simple process. In essence, it is a share transfer in the operational entity.
Does the DIFC active enterprise require any kind of local representation at the DIFC?
The DIFC PC can use the address of a registered agent. It does not have to lease an office separately, although it has an option to do so.
Does the DIFC have special courts for DIFC active enterprises?
The DIFC courts have jurisdiction over DIFC active enterprises, and the regulations specify a proactive role for DIFC courts.
Can the DIFC active enterprise be Sharia compliant?
The DIFC AE can apply Sharia principles to its governance and consolidation of underlying assets.
Do DIFC active enterprises have to file ESR reports every year?
The UAE Economic Substance Regulations were introduced in April 2019 and implemented as part of the UAE's commitment as a member of the OECD Inclusive Framework, and in response to an assessment of the UAE's tax framework by the European Union Code of Conduct Group on Business Taxation. DIFC active enterprises may fall in the scope of these regulations.
You mentioned earlier that active enterprises could have employees. So, can an active enterprise apply for residence visas and work permits?
Yes, it can, provided that it has office space leased in the center, and is not using the services of a registered agent to fulfill this requirement. The Government Services Office in the DIFC is dedicated to providing a wide range of administrative services, and one of these is the issue and renewal of employment visas. The DIFC offers visas based on the amount of office space availed, with roughly 80 square feet per visa allocation.
What is an establishment card?
The establishment card is a card issued by the General Directorate of Residency and Foreigners Affairs in Dubai to allow an entity to submit employment visa applications. It is for the entity who requires visas under DIFC and will not be required for those who are not in need of any visa. You can apply for visas under DIFC once the active enterprise is incorporated.
What is a personal sponsorship deposit? PSA.
The Personnel Sponsorship Agreement, PSA, is an agreement that must be signed with DIFC authority if the active enterprise wishes to sponsor employees.
I heard something about dues in the DIFC. Can you tell me something about it?
The DIFC has implemented a path-breaking employee workplace savings plan, called dues, to restructure the previously defined employee benefit plan into a funded and professionally managed, defined contribution plan. The dues initiative also offers a voluntary savings plan, allowing employees working in the DIFC to secure their financial future in an easy-to-manage fashion. Dues has found significant traction within the center, and together with the DIFC employment law, provides employees and employers with a world-class human resources framework. Gratuity calculation is 5.83% of employees' current basic salary up to 5 years of service and 8.33% for the period in excess of 5 years.
Do I need to be physically present to apply for the active enterprise?
No, the DIFC client onboarding system is fully digital and the process is done online. 10 Leaves is a DIFC-registered CSP and will assist you throughout this process.
How much does it cost to set up an active enterprise in the DIFC?
AEs are pretty cost-effective, with DIFC fees as low as $100 as a one-time fee for applications and $1,000 as license fees on an annual basis. Additional fees would include annual filing of the confirmation statement, $300, and CSP professional fees. We can structure your active enterprise, including drafting of all required documents through 10 Leaves Legability. Do contact us for a customized quote.
The active enterprise in the DIFC sounds like a fantastic proposition. How do I go about it? And how can 10 Leaves help me through the process?
10 Leaves is a corporate service provider at the DIFC. We offer the following services related to DIFC Active Enterprises. Structuring and customization of the Articles of Association, in partnership with Legability, our legal platform. We are able to customize the foundation to suit your requirements. We are able to factor in common law, UAE law, European laws, Kuwaiti and Saudi law, to deliver a highly personalized document for your requirements. Setup of the AE. Registered address. Nominee directorship and authorized signatory services, and...
Well, that's it for today. A very exciting day. It is a significant leap in structuring options available in the region. Thank you so much for listening in, and wish you a great day ahead.
Thank you too, and we look forward to hearing from you soon. Have a great day.